Welcome back to our first regular quote-unquote style podcast. I don't know what is regular anymore. We said that earlier, but now we do so many like different styles of podcasts. I guess nothing's really regular, but just me and Ruben sitting down having a varied chat. First time since December, lad.
Yeah, well, exactly. What's been 2 months now?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, we did one. We squeezed one out right before Christmas, and then we did an interview with Pete Johnson. So much stuff. There's actually a lot of stuff to talk about that we've done since then. But yeah.
Yeah, we can just kind of recap it, I guess, what we've been up to since then.
Yeah.
We quite shortly after we recorded that final episode of the year, we traveled to Portugal. Which I think a lot of you guys might have noticed that we were posting a lot from cafes. We could finally have a smoke again with a coffee on the side by the street. So that was really nice. We packed a lot of cigars.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I almost forgot the whole cafe thing because it feels so natural when we're there, and then it feels so natural when we're here as well. Like we're so used to it at this point that it's illegal here in Sweden to smoke outdoors at seated areas. That it's like that was so nice though. That was really amazing to just sit outside. Yeah, what was your favorite moment, lad, or smoke?
Well, my favorite smoke had to be the New Year's smoke.
Oh yeah,
I'm getting all hot thinking about it. No, the Arturo Fuente Don Carlos Destino del Siglo. That was my New Year's smoke that we, as some of you guys might know from the earlier part of the day on December 31st, we smoked like a nicer cigar that we can really sit down and enjoy and not like get caught up in the entire countdown thing. So yeah, that was a really nice moment. Also sitting at the place where we got kind of friendly with the people there.
Yeah, no, we became regulars at several spots.
Yeah,
but it was just like a nice local cafe with a bunch of Portuguese people. Like it wasn't very touristy. I mean, in general, I would say like Algarve wasn't that touristy in the winter months. It didn't feel very touristy in general. Yeah. So it was nice. Yeah, that's a good cigar, lad. I think for me, I'm gonna. I had a nice New Year's Eve cigar, the one that we had it for like that earlier in the day smoke. I had a 2004 Monte Cristo Petit Tubos, which is nice, but I think the Tatuaje Black Label was more memorable because I don't know, it was just like very cool smoking a Tatuaje that's not available in Sweden, and then obviously because we knew what was gonna come later in the month, that was really really cool. But before we jump on, because we have more stuff to let's not forget the important segment, lad.
Oh yeah,
of what's in your glass. Yeah, what's in your glass, lad.
So actually pretty perfect that I got to tell the story about Portugal first, because I bought a brandy back from Portugal, the CRF 1920 bottle, a brandy that we drank several times while smoking our cigars. Let's see how it goes without a cigar accompanying it.
Yeah, we barely had any of their brandies without cigars. We did, we did. I think at New Year's. But those brandies are super underrated, to be honest.
Yeah, they were really cheap as well. I think those was around €10 at the airport. And we barely smoked them without cigars, and we barely smoked them after like 4 p.m. We always had them in the early afternoon.
True vacation times, just drinking. I mean, yeah, that was basically our day. We would do something active during the day, like go check out a cool site, or like go to the chill at the beach or something. But then like as soon as it hit that like 3 p.m. mark after lunch, it'd be cafe, coffee, some kind of liquor or brandy or whatever it was, and a cigar. Yeah, the Tatuaje was really cool for me. I'll say quickly, I have a Barceló Imperial Onyx. This is a Dominican rum. I think I had the normal Barceló Imperial on one of these podcasts before, but this was actually from Manny, our good friend, who introduced me to the whole Barceló Imperial line. This is their like heavy charred oak barrel aged rum. So it's kind of an unusual aging process where the barrels are like double charred. so they're like really heavily burnt, the barrels, and that impedes, like, you can tell Ruben can see how dark this rum is. It like gives a really like woody, really heavy woody, and almost like a smoky flavor. So I'll say for people that like whiskey and haven't gotten into rums, if you can find the Barcelo Imperial Onyx, it's like this cool black bottle, then I'd recommend it. It's a good segue in between whiskeys and rums.
Mm-hmm. Give it a taste.
It's good mouthfeel. But yeah, why was I hinting at the tatuaje, lad? I guess that's the next thing that we did when we came back.
Yeah. So we both smoked a tatuaje each in Portugal because we needed to smoke a tatuaje before interviewing the Pete Johnson, the guy behind Tatuaje. And wow, that was a lovely interview. Such a calm and relaxed guy who just he just shared his knowledge of like cigars in general. We didn't do such a deep dive into Tatuaje, since I think a lot of people know about it. We wanted to more like pick his brain about general stuff that you want to know when meeting such a profile in the cigar industry.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think he was so extremely down to earth, and I guess friendly really is the word, because like he was just so, like, I don't know, such a warm guy. Like he made us feel really chill throughout that episode, and it made me really happy in the end how he seemed to have actually kind of enjoyed the interview, like, which was cool. And like you said, I mean, we really went in with the mindset of not asking him all the same questions he's answered over and over and over, because obviously he has this cool background of being a musician and all this stuff, and like how did you start your brand and all that stuff. I feel like a lot of these guys, when they've been interviewed countless times like Pete Johnson has, they'll probably get sick and tired of answering the same questions again. So that, we wanted to go a little bit more unorthodox, which I think it was a little bit appreciated by him. So that was really cool. And then we got interviewed, lad.
Yeah, we got interviewed.
Is the most mind-blowing thing of all.
This is we were talking about this like a week after it happened, just like how crazy and surreal it was, because we were on the Meet the Professor show, hosted by Jeremiah Marapfel, Carlito Fuente, and Jose Blanco, and for us to be one of the names now that has been on that show. I mean, you guys have to check out their YouTube, where they have posted all the interviews, because there are the absolute like most interesting people in the cigar industry among there. And for us to get the invitation was really surreal.
Yeah, surreal, I think, is the perfect word to summarize it. I mean, like, if you guys haven't seen it yet, I really urge you to watch it, just because maybe you'll stumble upon some of their other interviews. Because I mean, this is the show to watch, I think, just because it's hosted by Carlito Fuente as one of the people in it, and that itself is just such a cool thing. But they have, I mean, they say it's a who's who of the cigar industry on the show. I'd say maybe that doesn't hold very true now that we've been on it. But I mean, generally they've had, David Savona, the chief editor of Cigar Aficionado. They've had Jorge Padron, obviously, of Padron Cigars. They've had Rocky Patel, Steve Saka, Jonathan Drew of Drew Estate. They've had, I mean, literally every single biggest cigar brand owner they've had every single biggest journalist, all these people on. And we are kind of the first and only people that have been on that aren't actually really connected to the industry in terms of our job, this is just 100% still a hobby that we're doing. So that's kind of that's. I mean, it shocked us when he invited us on. I never would have expected it, to be honest.
No, absolutely, and it was of course like nerve-wracking at first just to be on there. But once again, they were so chill, and of course we'd talked to Jose a few times before, and feel like we have a good connection with him. But just the rest of the guys on the show, was a really chill vibe, and I mean, they have that in like all their interviews. It's very relaxed, and they just do it in a great 100%. Way. I feel they just joke around, and they're all friends, really. So
Yeah. Yeah, they really are. And chill is another word used that I wanted to piggyback on, because it's something I wanted us to mention during the episode if it came up in a natural question, but it didn't really. But to get like a behind the scenes peek of how all this stuff works, I mean, it is really chill, because all of our interviews that we've done with all these high profile guys in the industry, it's just been done through like Instagram DMs, and like every once in a while we'll have like a WhatsApp call, maybe with Jose Blanco or something, but it's like not really organized in a very professional manner, which I think is so cool. And that is very telling of the vibe of the cigar industry, and it matches what the cigar industry really is. But it was the same way with this, you know, like Jose Blanco just called us out of the blue less than a week before going on, which I think was really nice because we didn't have so much time to freak out about it. But all of it was just handled in such a chill manner. It was the same with Pete Johnson, really. You know, he was like, yeah, we were just kind of casually brainstorming dates we could do it, and it wasn't like an email back and forth between his secretary. And I don't know, I love that about the cigar industry. It's very telling.
Yeah, like everyone is so completely close to each other, like in proximity just to reaching out, which is really cool, because everyone has their own accounts and like really communicates via them, and are most of them very active on social media, which is is very like great for the community to be able to just reach out like that.
Yeah, like I'm thinking where else, because if you tag Tatuaje Inc., which is the @ for Pete Johnson's Instagram account, and if you like DM him or whatever, it's actually him talking there. Like he's actually using that account, and he's the guy writing there, and he's, like Ruben said, very active. I can't even think of any other sector or industry, or I guess hobby, where that's the case. You know what I mean? Like, I guess cigars is kind of a niche hobby, but there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of active cigar account users on Instagram. So for these guys to be that in touch with everyone is super, super cool as well. Just going on a little bit of a tangent here, but it is really cool. And if you guys, I don't know if you guys listen and like wonder how all this stuff goes on behind the scenes, like I guess that's the reason we as such young guys can be part of all this, because it is all so casual, and it is so easy to reach out to everyone. So it's just a cool little behind the scenes of how the cigar industry really works. It's so awesome.
Yeah, and definitely one of the like very positive things with social media as well. I mean, there's a lot of talk about how it's out ruining our generation and all that, but when you get these outcomes from it, it's very incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, lad, let's move on to something we wanted to talk about in this podcast, which is kind of the I guess the clickbait title that I'm going to put on the episode is why you might have watched it or clicked onto this. But I will start it off by discussing this shortly. Actually, today, Cigar Aficionado, on the 22nd of February, on Tuesday, TWO, as people are calling it today, 22nd, it's just this cringy thing. Anyway, they are reporting that the latest stats of American cigar imports are still showing that the imports are continuing to increase, and basically that the amount of cigars smoked this year in the States will top 400 million, which will be the first time since the boom of the 1990s. Damn. So basically we are kind of in a second boom, although it's been very gradual. And basically what they are tying this together with is the sort of lockdown effect, which has been a term that we've seen sporadically used. And basically, Ruben and I talked about this. I remember back in the beginning of the pandemic, we were like, wow, we're getting more DMs from people that are new cigar smokers. I feel like the lockdown is making people get more time, more disposable income, and smoking more. And that's certainly obviously the case now in the numbers. But this does not only affect the States. And what we wanted to talk about now is kind of the effects on the Cuban market, because Cuban cigars are in a kind of nuts situation right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. I guess I can start off with just like touching on how pandemic has, because you mentioned the U.S. and I recently read about one of the importers for Germany, Austria, and Poland, who were up this for Cuban cigars 27% in 2020. So I mean, like the pandemic created this mini boom or this lockdown effect, and it also created a shortage due to, I mean, obviously the entire like Earth's entire supply chain was messed up from the pandemic. So like it created a mini boom, and it also created supply chain issues. So like that's kind of spiraled us into, along with other things now, a Cuban shortage.
Yeah, shortage is the right word. It's kind of brutal right now, and I do remember in maybe the beginning of 2021 there we got a few DMs every once in a while of someone saying, ooh, is this cigar unavailable for you as well, or is this like a problem here in Hungary, or is this just a problem here in Greece, or whatever people were asking me. And at that time, I personally said, no, it's not really that much of a problem here in Sweden. Some cigars are out of stock. I know the big Cuban cigars have been decently out of stock for a while, like Cohiba Siglo 6s. I can't remember the last time I saw one. H. Upton Sir Winston's, although that's kind of connected to a longer problem Cuba's been having. But some of these cigars have been pretty out of stock, but not that bad. But I have to say, the last few months, like beginning of 2022 now, maybe end of 2021, even I am seeing personally how bad it is. Like I was at a cigar lounge a couple of weeks ago, and the stock was bad. I mean, it was really bad. Like regular production Cuban cigars in bigger sizes just not available. Vegas Robaina, the brand hasn't been imported to Sweden for months. Like the entire brand just has been not coming in at all. And this is pretty unprecedented. Like this has not been seen before at all. And I don't know, it was just like really surprising to see how bad of this, how bad the shortage really is and how it's taking over here.
Yeah, because I mean, some of the cigars there that you mentioned, like the Sir Winston and the Cohiba Siglo 6, are these like bigger cigars, which require like bigger leaves, and those, or among those, they have like seen shortages before, but now it's even difficult to get like Robustos.
Yeah.
Or even those sizes, which is crazy.
Brutal.
I mean, that is, yeah.
Yeah, the Cubans just can't get enough wrap relief, which is really true. There are interesting reports. I have to say, I have been sort of the opinion that the Chinese market has been eating up more of the demand. I don't know. There are some reports now that are saying basically this is not that true. I'm not sure what side I lie on, because obviously China went from nothing in terms of imports to being the biggest single country consumer of Cuban cigars in the world. Obviously, they are eating up more demand. And there are a lot of traveling, Chinese businessmen that buy a lot of stock. That I think they do account for a lot of the Cohiba purchases. But still, I don't think a lot of them are buying Vegas Robaina, which is such a strange brand. But there are some specific. I mean, we wanted to just touch on this because we wanted to bring more attention to this, because a lot of people have been asking us. There are some specific things that have happened, like a fertilizer shortage recently. If you want to talk about that, Lad.
Yeah. So, like recently in Cuba, they have faced a fertilizer shortage. Which in return, in their growing region, Pinal del Rio, where all the tobacco growing is done, the amount of space where they can grow tobacco has reduced 17.6% due to this fertilizer shortage. So I mean, that is not an insignificant number. 17, that is like 1/5 of the tobacco almost, which is, if you put it in those terms, quite a lot. Also in combination with this increased demand.
Yeah, like Ruben said, both those factors are really messed up. Obviously, this is not going to take effect immediately. This is a 2021 crop. So probably in like 2023, that's when that's going to be ready, or 2024, maybe some of that as well. But I mean, that combination is really bad, because even if they're starting to bounce back from COVID, the fact that Cuba has that kind of issue as well is really bad.
Yeah, exactly. And if you've already seen the like shortages on shelves, or like as people have reported, if you go into a cigar shop and you see like that 90% of the portfolio is out of stock already, that they can only supply some of the lines already, and then this is coming in now, and there's also other things that are happening right around now in Cuba.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said 90%, because that's the number that's been reported online. Basically, that 90% of the portfolio isn't available. And this was, I think, reported from Spain and Italy.
Yeah.
But the Habanos Nordic distributor, who distributes for the Nordics, also through our sources here, has reported that 90% of their portfolio is also not being distributed. So it seems like this is a completely worldwide shortage, which is pretty scary, that it's not only regional. And I wanted to, because you were hinting on some other stuff, I wanted to throw the ball back to you, because not only does Cuba have problems with fertilizer, so they can't even grow stuff and they can't meet demand, but there's also other shit that's going on when the tobacco's grown.
Exactly. So on top of this is a really tough time for Cuba. I mean, back in August, there was the hurricane. What was the name of it? Hurricane Ida. Oh, I don't. Maybe, I can't remember. but yeah. Anyway, that hurricane also like affected Cuba's crop, and just led to a really bad development of like their growing tobacco, but also like growing their bigger leaves. I mean, that obviously, like the bad weather conditions obviously affect how big the leaves are, and that's also why we're also seeing like a very big shortage within bigger ring gauge cigars. And just a few weeks ago as well, 1.8 tons of tobacco burned up. And I mean, this is always a constant fear within the tobacco business, right? I mean, we've talked about Fuente suffering fires many times, but now it's reached Cuba, where it's their turn to suffer from this. And I don't really, it's kind of difficult to gauge how much 1.8 tons of tobacco is.
Yeah. I tried to count it myself. I think a Robusto is supposedly like 30 grams.
Yeah.
You want to do the math, lad?
I mean, this is, this is just like a lot of powers.
You're the engineer, Major.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, I think, I mean, I don't know if that's world changing, but that's, I mean, when you already have so many issues like we've brought up, you know, the fact that warehouses, when you finally get tobacco that's suitable to roll, that tobacco also happens to burn up in warehouses. That's a pretty dark.
Yeah, I mean, it is like millions of cigars worth of tobacco. So,
damn.
Yeah,
that is brutal. Jesus, wow. Yeah, that's really, really, really bad.
Assuming that
on top of this,
though.
I don't know if you saw the stuff about the rollers in COVID, lad, because I mean it wrote about, you can mention it if you want. I mean, basically they're at 50% capacity. Yeah, and that's also, I mean,
yeah, exactly. And that made me think about like the saying that like a cigar goes through 100 hands before it arrives to you, and that it's such a natural and a product that has to be taken care of in so many processes, that like when when the pandemic takes away several of these hands, then I mean the logistics of it is very difficult to for like the companies to figure out. And that it's in so many, the tobacco is being like shifted in so many different places, segments. It really has affected them hard.
Yeah, you're really right about that. They can't get fertilizer. They can't store their tobacco. It's burning up everything. And I think this, you can tell. I mean, the issues are like tenfold, really, like you say. And not only are the factories under capacity, because of COVID. But we've heard from other sources, and in Cuban terms, maybe the most reliable sources, that half of the factories workforce have left and are on strike basically because of working conditions and stuff in Cuba. And this is from people that really know their stuff there. So, that's really dangerous stuff. I mean, a lot of articles surfaced during COVID. Basically, Cuba was hit really hard. Obviously, as an island with not a lot of economic resources already, something like COVID is not going to be good for them. And this has extended to the factories. And yeah, it's just really, really, really bad that the fact that they're losing so many workers. Like Ruben said, they have tough time growing. They have a tough time distributing, and they're losing growers as well. Or rollers as well. It's messed up on every front.
Yeah. Okay, so we have increasing demand, decreasing supply, but Cuba still says that they will never sacrifice the quality of the cigars to meet demand. What do you think about this, lad?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they spoke at all, that we got a statement from Cuba. This is from an article that we read on simplycigars.co.uk. I think it's a UK distributor or retailer. But yeah, obviously they're going to speak like this. They want to preserve their status as most luxurious cigars. But that's obviously already bullshit, because Cuba's already sacrificed their demand, or sacrificed their quality year after year after year to meet demand. Because from every single person that smoked Cuban cigars in the 80s, 90s, they say objectively, and it's in unison, that Cuban cigars are much worse now than they've ever been. So that's obviously bullshit. I wanted to ponder, though, I mean, this is all hypothetical, but I wanted to ask, what do you think, lad? Like, do you think this, because I'm genuinely wondering, I mean, I'm having this thought over and over, do you think this could actually mark the end of the dominance of Cuban cigars? Because people are inevitably going to stop smoking Cubans in one way or another, because they just don't exist on the shelves anymore, right? And there have been some other brands that have increased in demand that you may want to mention, but like, do you think this could actually end it? Do you think Cuba could be brought down by stuff like this?
You know what? It's very interesting, because I also just like really had to go through this in my head to figure out what I really think. And I do believe that for like cigar smokers or people who are really into this as a hobby, will like get the chance, or will have to take the chance to go outside of Cuba, because some people are really pro Cuban. And when that starts to fail, then you'll have to go outside. So I definitely think that within like cigars who hold it as a strong hobby of theirs, absolutely, it will mark a, I guess, turning point for like how Cuban cigars are seen. And if the quality goes down as well, then definitely. But I think in like the eyes of the public, Cuba will always like hold a certain standard, and I think that, I mean, cigars outside of people who hold it as their hobby are associated with Cuba. That's just like how it is, and certainly now, like in emerging markets, like in China and all that, Cuba is going to be the primary presence. So it's I guess it's shifting, like where this opinion comes from, but but definitely Europe will be affected by it.
Yeah, no, that's a good analysis. I think you're right. The layman, the average Joe, will still associate cigars with Cuba. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, how everyone that doesn't know anything about cigars thinks Cuba is the only option. And I think it'll take decades on decades on decades for that to change, if it ever does. If Cuba would fall, I mean, I think even if Cuba stopped producing cigars in 50 years, people would still think it. Like people that don't know anything about cigars will still think so. But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Vegafina, the distributor in Spain that distributes Vegafina, a brand that's not really that available in the States. It is expanding, but they said that demand had doubled in the last year from before, and that's very telling, right? So people are barely finding Cuban cigars, and the ones that they find might be really bad quality or very expensive. So they're in a way forced to try non-Cubans. And I think that even though some people might be doing it reluctantly, inevitably some people have to become changed a little bit, where they'll see the quality of non-Cuban cigars, and they might, because we know so many Swedes here that refuse to smoke non-Cubans and haven't done so for a decade plus, right? And if they're forced to try one, I think some people must, at least some people must realize that it is a very valid option outside of Cuban cigars, and it should be. I think it should be an option.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I completely agree.
You know, it'll be interesting to see in like 3 years what the effects of this is, if there's still a shortage, because if it's as bad as it is right now, for a sustained amount of period for years to come, I mean, it's hard to be a solely Cuban cigar smoker, right? Like if you love the Vegas Robaina Famosos and that's like your go-to Robusto, and you just cannot buy them, whatever you do, for years, you have to look abroad, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to look
exactly.
at other options.
And now, especially when like cigars that Cuba will release, they're gonna get sold out immediately. Like when the lines become available again, they're just gonna go, because everyone's been waiting for them. And then you're just not gonna be able to really walk into a store and pick up a Cohiba. You're gonna have to order it and be one of the first like drops. It's like some crazy merch drop.
No, that's the way it is already. That was a good segue, because I wanted to ask you. I'll give you a moment to stall, because I've thought about this while I was sort of drafting up what we were going to chat about. You know, thinking about the topics. It came to me that my biggest Cuban pet peeve, and I wanted to ask you what your biggest Cuban pet peeve, whether it be how they smoke or how their production is or whatever it is, just whatever comes to mind. But I'll start with mine, and it's the reluctance of Habanos to do exactly what they said in that interview, to sacrifice demand for quality. Because it pissed me off so much, the fact that they're still releasing new cigars during this. Like in the spring of 2021, Cohiba announced that they were going to release a new Cohiba called Ambar. How are they releasing new Cohibas when they can't even come close to putting out enough of the Cohibas that already exist? To me, that's idiotic, right? As a business standpoint, if you can't even make the stuff that you're already promising to make, how can you make new ones? It's just absolutely crazy. The biggest Cohibas are always out of stock. Yeah. The 2020 Partagas, what is it called again? Legado limited edition. Yeah. The 2020 limited edition still hasn't been released. Yeah. What is Cuban? And they're still announcing 2021 limited edition.
I know, and 3 of them.
2022.
And they're the smallest ring gauge is 52, followed by 55 and 57. I think are the ring gauges. Insane. And I mean, how are they going to do that with leaves that aren't big enough? I mean, these leaves are. I don't. It's going to be interesting.
This, it's funny, because we sound like haters. If anyone's like listening to this as the first podcast of ours or whatever, we love Cuban Cigars. I think that's why we're so passionate about this. But I'm just wondering also how long it's going to be until people don't take Habanos and their releases seriously. Because if you've announced a 2020 limited edition and it's still not on the market, when do they just lose all credibility? You know what I mean? Like, when do people just stop caring about the releases? Because we might see the 2020 limited edition in 2023. That's a joke, right? Like a 3-year delayed cigar is a joke. That's not a serious company. Do you have a pet peeve, Vlad?
I do. I do. And I guess it kind of feeds from what we're talking about now, but just the way that Cuba, we will never really know what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah, I mean, there's little to no transparency in what they do, what their decisions come from, and that's why we're sitting here now and pondering how can they do this, how can they do that. Yeah. But in the end, they're this is their main export, pretty much in the country, and they have to take business decisions for the country's future. True. And so that will always be an effect into what they do in their production. So I guess that ties together with what you were talking about as well, like with their production and all that. But just that, and you also did this video on conspiracies behind the Añejados line, exactly. And just that, that there's no transparency really.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's a nice way to tie a little bow over this segment of our conversation, because we started off talking about how extremely transparent all these other manufacturers are. The fact that we can DM Pete Johnson at will, and then with Cuba, we don't even know who's running it. Yeah, right. Yeah. So like that contrast is just nuts.
Absolutely,
it's crazy. So before we finish off, if you guys listen to that, you have more thoughts, more viewpoints. Maybe there's a lot of like murmurs under the surface. Like we've heard, like I said, I didn't want to reveal the sources because I don't know how much people want this to be out there. But like there's a lot of talk underneath everything what's going on in Cuba. If you guys know anything more, or you want to discuss it, please, as always, DM us. But I wanted to end this on a funnier note. We've done several games like this before, lad, where I make some stuff up and some stuff is real. Let's go. This is what I've been wanting to do for a long time, and it's sort of, it does connect to this and Habanos and Cuba being stupid and weird. Basically, this past fall, we saw a new release for the Nordic countries. Maybe you saw me review it on Instagram and on our YouTube. It was the regional edition release for the Swedish and Norwegian, whatever, the Nordic markets, and it was called King of North, which is a hilarious name because it screams either two things. Either they got the name wrong from the Game of Thrones reference, and that could be very plausible as it's Cuba, or they wanted to reference Game of Thrones, but they were afraid of rights issues, so they went with a wrong name on purpose. That's also hilarious. Just don't do either. Yeah. It's just a bad name. King of North is an awful name for a cigar in any case. But the funny thing is the regional edition series has been around for a decade and a half now. And they release several of these cigars every year. So obviously, King of North is not the only bizarre and weird name out there. And I'll preface this with, again, saying, like with the other games, it was almost harder to come up with stuff because the more I researched, the weirder the stuff got. I mean, some of these names are utterly just absolutely bizarre. Okay. So I've got, I think, like 9 or 10 of them.
Nice lad.
I'm not going to reveal how many are fake and how many are real, so you can't play any strategy, just pure guessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of these will be completely made up, and some of these will be real. So, if you're ready, lad, if you're on your marks, you guys can play along at home, obviously. The first one we have is a Diplomáticos called Ammunition from 2018, which was released for the Middle Eastern market.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
True. And this is where it starts off, where I'm wondering, what? Is this a play on the fact that the Middle East is plagued by tons of deadly wars? Because if so, that's extremely distasteful. What happened here? What happened?
I don't know. Maybe that was the easiest way to ship it there, just marking the box Ammunition.
Yeah, all right. It's true. It might be a custom thing. Yeah. But I find this so funny.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Good start.
The fact that they make a cigar. I mean, Ammunition is an awful name for any cigar, especially like a Cuban. And some of these names you'll see, like Cuba tries to be very classy with a lot of their stuff. Obviously, if you look at their Instagram, the way they market, they want it to seem like this luxurious thing. But some of these names are just absurd.
But that feels super American, like the
right?
Yeah.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's weird that they would do it, and the fact that it's just for the Middle Eastern market is just the sprinkle on top. All right, next up, Por Laranaga Scotch from 2010 for the Gran Bretagna region, the UK.
Scotch. I mean, I'm gonna say no because no.
Because
I mean. Yeah, no, it's a bad name.
Yeah, no, true. I made that up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I made that one up. So that's not a real cigar for the UK. So nice one there, lad.
Yeah.
Next up, this is a St. Louis Ray, the brand.
Yeah.
And the name of this one is called Herfing.
Oh.
And it is another Middle Eastern cigar from 2017 this time.
Herfing.
Yeah, like herf.
Yeah.
But
okay.
the verb of
Cool.
it, herfing.
Cool. I mean, that feels a bit too off, maybe. Call it herfing.
So
I'm going to say that it's not the name.
wrong. It's a real one.
sh-
It's a real cigar,
Wow.
which is another weird one. I just wonder how I think it's funny because the term herf, the people that have gone like behind it, they try to get the etymology, and it seems like it's supposedly a British term. So it's
Okay.
weird that they would release a cigar called Herfing for the Middle Eastern segment. So it's just a strange cigar. This actually got a lot of outrage. If you read on like the forums, like Friends of Habanos, people got really pissed because they basically said that this cigar, and then Ammunition came out the year after. Those two cigars, basically, people are like, oh, Habanos are losing credibility now. Like they're just making stupid names to sell cigars, which I'm not sure if it's true, but Herfing is a funny name for a Cuban cigar.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
I
weird.
didn't like it's with the Ammunition, like you said. It doesn't feel like Cuban. It feels yeah.
All right, next one, lad. This is a La Gloria Cubana cigar. This one's called Unifree, like the duty free like the duty-free shop chain, and this is a 2018 release for Turkey. A duty-free release. Regional. It's basically like calling it La Gloria Cubana Costco or Walmart or whatever. It's a duty-free travel chain. Uni-free.
Please don't tell me it is true. But
what's your guess?
Okay, I'm going to say it is true.
It is true. Yeah. And the fact is that they called it this. That they called that the cigar. They've named a bunch of their other regional editions in partnership with like travel chains, like the Ammunition. It's actually like it's called Diplomatico's Ammunition, but then it also says on the box like in collaboration with the anniversary for Phoenicia Trading, which is like a Middle Eastern distributor. Yeah. But this cigar, they decided to actually name it Unifree after the shop. So it's super just distasteful.
Yeah, really bad. I mean, what's it going to
2017 and 18 were bad names.
Advertisements print on the like tube or on the box or whatever. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. It's just a distasteful one. All right, Rafael Gonzalez Panda for the Chinese market in 2011.
No.
Fake. Yeah, correct. I tried to think outside the box there. Yeah. You'll see why why I made that up later. But yeah, that one is not real. I guess some of these have been weirder than that, so it could have been.
Yeah, no, it could have been, absolutely.
All right, next up, Ramon Ayones Robusto XXL. So that's not the name of the Vitola, that's the name of the cigar itself. Robusto XXL. And this is a Belux cigar, so Belgium and Luxembourg, from 2015.
Okay, I don't know. Yeah, let's just say it's true.
It is true. Okay. It is true. You've guessed some of them right, but you've done worse than normal here.
Yeah,
so I'm actually happy overall with this round. It's just a weird name. Again, it's not classic Cuban.
No, exactly.
Most of their limited edition and they're Spanish names, which I think that's like kind of the classy thing, calling them like gloriosos or legendas or legados or whatever, like
King of
Spanish
North.
names. That are exactly, King of North, Ammunition, Robusto XXL.
Yeah.
It's just not cool.
Yeah,
like,
but now
XXL
King of North doesn't seem
cool
that
name,
bad anymore.
Right?
Yeah.
But to be honest, it's still hilarious.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Next up, lad. Juan Lopez Maple Syrup, Canada, 2015.
Okay, this is true. This is what you based it off, wasn't it?
No,
what?
It's fake.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Got you good. No, that one's not true. I mean, the fact that you thought it is kind of funny because I mean that says how bad some of these names are. The fact that they might call a cigar maple syrup.
Maple syrup.
It's just so
it
stupid.
feels like when you don't know anything about Canada, just throw in something that's like a
yeah, like ammunition.
Yeah, exactly.
They have war over there, don't they? Next up, lad, La Flor de Cano is the brand, obviously. Extraños, regional edition, Mexico 2014. Extraños means weird or bizarre in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Strange.
Okay, this one is true.
Wrong.
Damn.
I made that one up.
Nice.
That's one of the first ones I made up. I don't know why I kept it in because that one sounds so much realer than the other fake ones.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Just goes to show that it's
that
not
one.
that difficult to make like a good name for it, right? Like.
Yeah, but that would be weird if you speak Spanish. Extraños would be super weird.
Absolutely.
Name. All right, last one, lad. Gladiator. This is a La Gloria Cubana for the Andes region, the Andes, like the Chilean Andes. Like I think it would be the Andes ones are Chile and Argentina, I think, or Peru maybe. Yeah. 2010, Gladiator.
Yeah, that's true.
Correctamundo. Oh, this is Ramon Iones. Sorry. I said La Gloria Cubana thing. Yeah, Ramon Iones Gladiator, which is a weird one, right? I don't know what gladiators have to do with that. I mean, it has nothing to do with it, right? Wouldn't that be Italian or something? Rome?
Yeah, it would.
Probably just a name that Okay, so the reason I said panda is there was a cigar called Oryx for Qatar, and Oryx is like an antelope-like animal. I don't know if you know. They have like the long horns. So that's one. Then there's one called Bushido for the Asia Pacific market. Bushido is like the samurai code.
Okay.
That's another real one. These are just some crazy ones that I found. That one's cool. It's crazy, but it's cool. I respect Bushido. That's a cool one. Before our time, lad, us in the Nordics got a Nordic one called Vikingos, which is the plural of Vikings in Spanish.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
It's cooler when it's in Spanish, right? Like El Rey del Norte would have been cooler than the King of the North, like or King of North. And a Costa Rica 2021 called Pura Vida, which is like kind of the slogan of Costa Rica.
It is,
right?
it is.
So that's pretty cool.
Exactly.
So yeah,
okay.
Some better ones. They got better with the later years, but it just goes to show, like you say, how Cuba is just we don't know who's their marketing team. Like who made these names up? You know?
Did they like play spin the wheel or something on these names?
I think you got like 6 out of 10 on
it was pretty.
So
I had a losing streak of 3 there, or like a miss streak of 3.
Yeah. I did better than most times.
Yeah, nicely done,
lad. I'm happy.
Fun game.
Cheers. Yeah, I got to come up with more of these now that I know how to trick you a little better than the first ones.
You're in a kind of a playful mood now. You made the cigar wordle.
Right. Yeah. We'll see, Lado. After this call, you can make up one, and I'll put it up for tomorrow. Yeah, sure. You can make another wordle. A lot of people play the game.
Yeah.
I wish I could see how people did, but if someone listened and they missed it, it was on the story. If you guys play Wordle, I made a cigar-related one today. The word was Punch as the brand. Yeah. The Cuban brand, and there's a non-Cuban version. But it was hard to find 5-letter words. Most of them were like 6-letter.
Yeah, I was thinking what should I enter first? And I was like Stogie, but then
you can go cigar. You can go cigar. Cigar is 5. No, this is a sporadic episode, but I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway. We'll let you go now.
Yeah, it was fun being back on the mic with you, lad.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we got to do these more regularly, like we promised.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cheers, guys, for listening as always. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
We will see you whenever we come back.
Yeah,
for the next one. Cheers, guys.